as by trying to leave completely a particular sin, I said, Wallahi, if I do this sin again, I will fast 3 months. Unfortunately, I did the sin. I want to know if I have to fast 3 months, or if the verse, chapter 5, verse 89, can be applied so the oath can be expiated. Now, first of all, we have to know that the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, whoever takes a pledge, whoever makes a vow to obey Allah, he must fulfill it. This is known as a nadhr. And there are different types of nadhr. But the general nadhr, which is conditional, you must fulfill it if it is in something that is halal, and what you have vowed for is also halal. If Allah Azza wa Jal would cure my grandfather, I vow to fast a whole month. And Allah cured my grandfather, it's a must for me to fulfill it. And there are different types. There is the general vow. I vow to pray 10 rak'ahs. No condition, no reason. You must fulfill this. Now, the question Ibrahima is asking about is known among the jurors, among the fuqaha, the scholars, as the vow of, in a sense, al-lijaj in Arabic. When you are distressed, when you are under pressure. So, basically, this kind of vow, or it can also be in the case of divorce. It can also be in the case of swearing, when you say an oath, for example. But the intention is not to get closer to Allah. So what she said, Wallahi, if I do this sin again, I will fast 3 months. Her intention is not to fast, is not to get closer to Allah. Her intention is to block herself from doing that particular sin. And on the opposite side, if someone says, Wallahi, if I am able to do, if I do such a thing, I will fast. Or if I don't do that particular task, if I don't take my child to the garden, I will pray 100 rak'ah. So that I would force myself to take my child to the garden or to the beach or whatever. So the scholars say that getting closer to Allah is not the intention. The intention is to force yourself or others to do something, or to refrain from doing something. In divorce, it's the same thing. If I say to my wife with the intention of preventing her from going to her neighbor's house, if you go to your neighbor's house, you're divorced. This is conditional divorce, and it's a sin. And no one is encouraged to do this. And it expresses the lack of manhood of a person, because he's unable to control his wife, or to control his children or his guests or whatever, except by imposing the word divorce in the context. This is wrong, it's haram. But hypothetically speaking, if you go to our neighbor's house, you're divorced. We ask the individual, what was your intention? He says, Wallahi, I just wanted to stop her from going there because they are bad influence. They mix with the opposite gender, and they listen to music and watch movies. So I say, okay, this was not an actual divorce. This was an oath. And likewise, if you say, if I do this sin, I will fast 3 months, this is an oath. It is sufficient for you to expiate, as Allah mentioned in Surah Al-Ma'idah, where Allah says that you have to feed 10 poor people from the average food that you consume usually, or clothe them, or free a slave. And if you're unable financially, that is, to do any of the previous 3, then you may fast 3 days, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Niyaz from Saudi. Niyaz?
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam wa rahmatullah.
How are you, Sheikh?
I am fine, Jazakallah khair for asking.
Yeah. Sir, I have two questions.
Yes.
First question is, when two people are offering salah, only two people, and they are sitting in the last sujood.
Okay.
So now I enter and I want to join these two because I am sure that this is the last rakat what they are praying by knowing the position they are sitting.
Okay.
So how I will join them in their congregation for salah?
Second question.
Second question is, now once, because this is Umrah season, usually people when they are traveling for Umrah, once they perform Umrah, they are not, sometimes they are just cutting the hairs from just left, right and front and back, just clipping the hairs in a one inch from all the sides. But they are not trimming the whole, they are not shaving nor they are trimming the whole hairs. Is this acceptable?
Okay. Any more questions?
No, sir. Jazakallah khair.
Wa jazak. I will answer you, inshallah. Brother Niyaz says that if I come and I found two people praying and they are in the last tashahhud, they're sitting down. So how can I join them? I cannot definitely pull back the brother who is a follower because he's sitting down. He's in the sitting position. And this is the last rak'ah. Akhi, there's no problem. Sit next to him and do your tashahhud. When the imam gives salam, you stand up, and there is no harm in that, as there is no other alternative. His second question is that some of the men, when they come for Umrah, because they want to make things easy, or because they want to do multiple Umrahs, so what we see is after they finish their 7th round of sa'i, and it's time to shave or clip their hair, they simply take one part, clip, one part, clip, and that's it. And this is totally wrong. The sunnah is either to shave it, and this is the best, or to trim the hair from all your head. So this can be done with the machine, or it can be done with scissors, but you have to take from all sides of the hair so that the whole hair is been cut short from it. And how short is irrelevant. You can cut as short as you wish, but you have to do that from the whole hair, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Tariq sent us a question. He says in his country, there's a tradition that before the day of walima, both parties, the grooms and the bride, arrange a feast in their own home and invite their relatives, neighbors, friends, and the problem is that it's intermixed, music and lots of other haram things. He says, is it permissible for me to ensure that it is segregated and there's nothing haram, but throw a party like this before the day of the walima? There's nothing wrong in that. Having a separate party of your own that is not related to the walima, just to invite close friends, friends from the office, etc., whatever, there's nothing wrong in that, inshallah, providing that there's no extravagance. See, some people throw like 5, 7, 10 walimas, and some of them make it in hotels or wedding halls and pay a lot of money. And this is extravagance that Allah does not love. If it's something normal, usual, in Arabia, when some guests come, we slaughter a sheep and we invite 5, 10 people and we eat from the sheep, alhamdulillah, and the access is stored or given to charity. So this is nothing wrong or nothing bad if you do it, but it must not reach the level of extravagance. Nasruddin from Saudi. Nasruddin.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, I have one question.
Yes.
One Muslim brother, his earnings are not halal, but he's contributing some money for masjid. So is it we can accept from the mosque that money or no?
Okay, any more question?
That's my question.
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah. Brother Nasruddin says that there is someone whose earning is haram. So he gives money to help in building a masjid or for the maintenance of the masjid. And he asks, is this halal or not? This is halal. There's nothing wrong in that. Some scholars said that the hadith that Allah is tayyib and does not accept what is tayyib. Therefore, the building of the masjid must only be done from halal money. That this hadith refers that Allah does not accept it from him. See, the donor who is giving haram money, he's sinful for his earning and he's not rewarded for his pain. Likewise, if a person has gained haram money and he is unable to return it to its lawful owner, someone, for example, borrowed money from an individual and this individual has disappeared, or there was a haram transaction and then he cheated and took money unlawfully from that person, and now he repented and he wants to give the money back, but he doesn't know where the person is. Is it permissible for him to give the money to build a masjid? There's no problem in that. He will not be rewarded for it, but the masjid would not be tarnished by such money, and it is halal, inshallah, to take it from him. Kamil from Pakistan.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Salam wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I have a question regarding insurance. That, as you know, that when we travel, we have to insure ourselves according to the requirement of embassy. So, if we have insured, first of all, is it legal for us to insure ourselves?
Okay. Second question.
And if it is permissible, then after that, later on, our intention is not to use this insurance or to get benefit from it. But later on, if we need something, you can say that regarding our health. If we need our health treatment, then later on, can we use such insurance for our health benefit or for our medical treatment?
Okay, Kamil, any more questions?
No, sir.
Okay, I will answer you. Barakallah fiqh. Brother Kamil has a valid question. I want to travel to Holland. And in order to travel to Holland, I must have a visa. I go to the visa office or to the consulate and I apply, and they tell me it is part of the regulation that you must obtain health insurance for the period of your stay in Amsterdam. So, is this permissible or not? As long as my visit is legitimate for a legitimate reason, then yes, this is permissible. Is there any sin on me? There's no sin on you, because they impose this on you. And there are so many similar cases where an individual has no choice, and this is implemented by the authority, by the government, by the rulers, and they take the sin in order for him to resume normal life. Now, his second question is quite tricky. He says, okay, I applied for the visa, they granted me the visa, I have the documentation of my health insurance, I went to Amsterdam, Schiphol Airport. I went in, I stayed for a couple of days. All of a sudden, my wife got sick. We admitted her to the hospital. They said they have to undergo an operation immediately, and it would cost us like 10,000 euros. But I already have an insurance. So can I use the insurance to pay for it? Or would that be haram? It's an issue of dispute among scholars. Some scholars say it is totally haram for you to use. Others said, no, you can use it, but how much did you pay for that documentation, the insurance? 200 euros? Then this is what you're entitled to reimburse. But the rest, you have to pay yourself. And the third opinion says that it is totally permissible for you to use. And I feel that this is the most authentic and closer to the truth of all the other opinions. Why? First of all, the insurance policy, I was forced to pay it. Who's benefiting? The insurance companies. So when the need to reimburse or to utilize this insurance policy, to claim that no, khalas, I cannot use it, while they're benefiting and getting richer and richer, this would be unfair. I didn't apply for it. I didn't willingly accept it. But if the need for using it arises, in this case, it is permissible for you to use, and Allah knows best. Nadia from Saudi.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Salam to Allah.
Sheikh, I want to know about the institutions. Are there any institutions for youth like teenagers, not to only memorize the Quran, to give them Islamic knowledge, but is there any institution in Makkah or Medina or Jeddah in which the hostel is also included, not only from morning to evening, and if they can stay inside? Do you have anything like that? Please.
Okay, any more questions?
Thank you. No, thank you very much.
You're quite welcome. Nadia is asking about an institution in Saudi Arabia or in Egypt, or I think basically she's asking about Islamic boarding schools. And she is referring to teenagers, most probably. I have no idea of what exists. I know that there are plenty of un-Islamic. And unfortunately, I've met a number of businessmen, successful, yet they're sending their children to Lebanon, to other countries where they pursue, they live in boarding school, and they are unfortunately taught by Christians, Maronites, and by those who do not relate to the religion at all, even if they're Muslims, but know nothing about it. And they're throwing their investment, their life investment, which are their children, in such people's hands. There has to be, but unfortunately, this would be usually fought vigorously by the anti-Islamic elements, and they're everywhere. They're secularists, liberals, hypocrites. This is the Islamic name and terminology for these two. They fight tooth and nail so that they prevent the spreading of Islam or anything that helps Islam. So you have to look, Sister Nadia, because personally I have no idea. Shaman from Saudi. Okay, I think we've lost Shaman. Aman says, is it true that we cannot say a specific person who isn't a Muslim is a kafir, because that would imply that we are saying he is in hell for ever? This is wrong. Allah Azza wa Jal, as stated in Surah At-Taghabun, He is the one who created all of us, and among us is the kafir, and among us is a believer. So there's no third way. Either you're a Muslim or a kafir. So he's saying that if I say that this individual is a kafir, that I'm implying that he's in hell. This is wrong. I can say that he's a kafir because he's not a Muslim. Likewise, I can say that I'm a Muslim, though I'm not implying that I'm in paradise. Allah knows how or what would be my ending moment. How would it be like? So by classifying people according to their beliefs, this is totally permissible. I see any non-Muslim and I say he's a kafir. He's a disbeliever. He's a disbeliever in my religion. To him, I'm a disbeliever in his religion. So there's nothing, it's a touche. But what is not permissible is to judge someone, whether alive or dead. And say, for example, that Ariel Sharon, the ex-prime minister of the occupying authority in Palestine, if I say he's in hell, I cannot tell. I know he's a kafir, and if he died as a kafir, he will go to hell. But is he in hell? I have no idea. I cannot say that Abdullah or Abdul Aziz or Muhammad, individuals, Muslims, that they are in Jannah. I hope and I'm wishful. But if I say that they are in Jannah, that means that I am testifying of something I have no knowledge of. But to say that this John or Tom or Donald is a kafir, this goes without even thinking. He's a kafir. He says that he's not a Muslim. He's a Christian. He's a Jew. He's an atheist. He's a kafir. Where he will end up is only in Allah's knowledge. But the basic and common fact is, if he dies as a kafir, he ends up in hell, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Shaman from Saudi?
Shamim, not Shaman.
Oh, Shamim. How are you, brother Shamim?
Alhamdulillah, بخير الله يكرمك. أول شيء آسفين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته, Shamim bhai. Yes, what can I do for you?
Sheikh Hassan, if my wife, I tell her not to cut her hair, and she still cuts her hair, is she sinful?
Okay, any more question?
Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair.
Wuzak. Okay, brother Shamim's question is straightforward. I tell my wife not to cut her hair and she disobeys me. Is she sinful? The answer is yes. Because her beautification and what the husband likes and loves, this is to him, and it's an obligation upon her to please him. Then why did he marry her? If he loves long hair and she says, no, I'd like to cut my hair real short because I don't like it when I wash it. Or there's a new hair style that I like. And he says, no, I love the way you look. And she says, no, I want to change it. Then she is sinful. And the problem is with spouses when it comes to Simon says, and she says, no, I don't want to obey. The problem is that sometimes the brothers go out of line and they become so obsessive and controlling to the sense that you must not eat apples. Why does you don't want her to eat apples? I don't like apples. So this is it. I knew a couple a while ago, and the problem is that the brother has an OCD, severe OCD. And to the extent that whenever he goes out with his wife and family, he prevents the wife from entering any house that has trees next to it. And whenever they go back, he forces each one of the family to have a shower. And he has issues with cleanliness. And she asks what to do. And we asked Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, may Allah have mercy on his soul, and he said, this person is insane. So pretend that you're obeying him, but don't give any heat, and don't shower, because this is not what Allah wants you to do. This is not part of obeying him in ma'roof. This is something that has to be ignored. Safiya from Nigeria.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam wa rahmatullah.
Please, Sheikh, there was a brother that asked a question, so I didn't get the answer.
Safiya,
he asked about...
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, about an income of haram and building a mosque with it. Because of the answer, could you please...
Wallahi, Sister Safiya, if you hear your question on the telly, you can tell that your line is breaking so bad I could barely understand any of what you had said.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Your line is breaking, so can you call again, please? Maybe it would be clearer. Okay, Falak from Saudi.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you?
I am fine, Jazakallah khair, my friend. What can I do for you?
I have one question.
Yes.
When I'm praying, I sneeze. Should I say Alhamdulillah in my mind? And the person who's praying with me, should she say Yarhamukumullah?
Okay, any more question?
No, Sheikh. Jazakumullahu khairan.
Wa jazak, my friend. I will answer you, inshallah. So, Falak is asking a question that took place at the time of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. What had happened then? This, inshallah, what we will know and find out after the break. So stay tuned. Allah, la ilaha illallah.
Many people judge Islam based on what the Muslims do. The fact is, Islam is perfect, but the Muslims are not. However, it is not hard for us to implement, and there are ways for us to be the ideal Muslims. Join me, Dr. Rayyan Arab, in this new program, The Ideal Muslim, so that we could discover the ways of how we could be ideal Muslims.
Amin Awadeen, Amin Awadeen. Why are we fighting each other? Allah, la ilaha illallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Falak asks a question, and this same scenario took place at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, when during Salat, one of the companions sneezed, and he said, Alhamdulillah. So the one next to him said, Yarhamukumullah. So the companion started looking at him during prayer, and he shouted in despair, why are you looking at me like this? So they started clapping their thighs, making him to stop talking. And when the prayer was concluded, the Prophet called the man and asked and told him that prayers are not permissible except to remembering Allah Azza wa Jal and to recite the Quran. So we learn from this that it is not permissible for me while during prayer to reply to your salam by saying wa alaikum salam, or to reply to your sneezing and praising Allah by saying yarhamukum Allah. This is not permissible. However, the Prophet did not alayhi salatu wasalam reprimand or say anything to the man who sneezed initially and said alhamdulillah, which means that it is totally permissible for you if you sneeze to say alhamdulillah, but you don't announce it so that the imam can hear it. So you don't say alhamdulillah and everybody, no. So when you sneeze, just simply say alhamdulillah, and this is sufficient inshallah. Fatima from Saudi, or okay, let's take Safiya from Nigeria because this is a long distance call. Yes, Safiya.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, I can hear you on your question about earning haram to build a masjid.
Yes. A brother asked a question and I couldn't get the answer because of the lights. The lights went off.
Okay, I will answer you inshallah.
Okay, and my second question is IVF allowed in Islam?
Is what?
IVF.
IVF, okay. I will answer you
Yes.
inshallah.
Is it permissible in Islam?
Okay, any more questions?
No.
Okay, wa jazaki. So, Fatima from Saudi?
Yeah, my question is about making ruqyah.
Yes.
One of my friends suggested that reading Surah Yasin, and whenever the mubin comes, the word mubin comes after some of the ayahs, you have to blow it on water and drink the water for sickness. Is this a valid kind of ruqyah?
Okay, any more questions?
Even Surah Al-Kahf, she said at the ayahs where the word ahadan comes, even there at those points, blow the water and drink the water. Regarding these two surahs, I just want to know if it is authentic. Jazakallah khair.
Wa jazakum. I will answer you inshallah. Okay, going back to Safiya's question, the brother who asked about giving money that was earned from haram to build a masjid, is it permissible or not? We said that earning the money is haram for the individual. So this is a separate sin. What happens with the money, whether you give it to your wife, children, whether you give it to build a masjid or to dig a well, this is something else, because you're not going to be rewarded for it. The earner would not be able to be rewarded for it. And those recipients, the wife, the children, are entitled to utilize this money without any problem. However, maybe I did not mention this, but I've mentioned it earlier in many times. Earning the money is dependent on whether it is earned through haram means or the actual money is haram in itself. What's the difference? Actual money that is haram for itself is when I borrow from you 1,000 euros and I say I didn't take anything from you. So this is money that is haram. When I take your watch, when I confiscate your car, and you can't have any proof to prove that it is yours. So I take it by force and you cannot do anything about it. If I steal your money without you knowing it, this is haram money. Not due to its earning, but due to its actual money. The money itself, the car, the watch, this is all haram. Even if I give it to my wife, if I contribute in the masjid and they know that this was stolen, no, you cannot take this. It has to be given back to its lawful owners. But if the money, haram money, is through throwing musical concerts or production of movies or selling cigarettes or even intoxicants or prostitution or in riba, all of this haram due to the earning, the way it was earned, not because the money itself is haram. This type of money can be given and can be taken by the recipient without any problem, insha'Allah. Even for building masjids. Safiya, second question was about IVF. And this is a procedure, I don't know the Latin meaning of it. Oh, I know, but I forget. Who cares? IVF is a procedure where they take the sperm of the husband and they inject the egg of the wife and they either fertilize it outside the womb or they inject it back into the womb and they can have children through this method. This is permissible for those who are unable to get it naturally, providing that the sperm is from the husband himself, the egg is his wife's egg, and the embryo is placed in her womb. So surrogate mothers are not permissible, donors of sperms are not permissible, and I hope this answers your question. Fatima says that someone instructed her to make ruqya in a very awkward and weird way by reciting Surah Yasin, and at specific endings of verses she has to repeat or to blow on water whenever the word mubin is there, or the word ahada in Surah Al-Kahf. And all of this is an innovation and baseless. Though it is Quran, but the way and the format is totally unacceptable, and it's not in accordance to the doing of the Salaf. You can recite Al-Fatiha, which our Prophet himself ﷺ told us that it is an excellent ruqya. You can recite Ayat al-Kursi, the last 2 ayahs of Surah Al-Baqarah, the last 3 chapters of the Quran, the last 3 quls, all of these. And there are other verses in Surah Al-A'raf, chapter 7, Surah Yunus, chapter 10, and so on, regarding sihr, magic, sorcery, etc. This can be helpful as well. Noha says that she's the only child of her parents, and her relatives are constantly troubling them, the family, the parents and her, by interfering, complaining, mentally torturing, even though her parents are very kind and they respond politely. Is there any supplication to be made against such evil people? No, you have to understand that this life is a test from Allah. Do you think that you can just simply cruise through life without any disturbances, without any illnesses, without any poverty, without anyone abusing you or mentally torturing you or saying something that saddens you, lies to you. This is not possible. If it were possible, then the elite of Allah's creation, and that is the messengers and the prophets of Allah, peace be upon them, would have cruised in life in such a fashion. But we know that they have all been inflicted by trials and calamities. They have been abused by their people and slandered and mistreated in a very horrible way. So don't be delusional. Life can never maintain in the same pace. It has to have its ups and downs. A logical person is someone who has great iman in his heart. He believes in Allah's destiny and decree, and whatever happens, he says Alhamdulillah, and looks always at the full half of the cup rather than looking at the empty half of the cup. So he's positive. There are problems. So what? There are lots of good things in life that can overwhelm such problems. So always look at the good side. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal to grant you patience and tolerance, and do as your parents do. They're wise, mashallah. They're tolerant and patient. Be kind. So someone tells you, you're a donkey. Does this mean that you will grow 2 ears and a tail? No. It's a statement, he said. Just smile and say, Jazakumullah khair. End of story. Let it come from one ear and leave from the other ear, and let your heart be pure and white, and inshallah, you'll be content with whatever happens in this life, inshallah. Muhammad from Saudi.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليك السلام وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
كيف حالك شيخ؟ حياك الله.
حياك الله شيخ محمد. Yes, أخي.
Sheikh, I have noticed in our mosques in all over kingdom, the member where the imam gives khutbah, delivers the khutbah,
yes,
it's very huge, very top. I mean, it's more than 6, 7, 8, 10 stairs up. But when we see in Masjid al-Nabawi, the member of Rasulullah sallallahu, where when he used to deliver khutbah, it's very low. It's few steps up only. But here it's very on the top, as if we have to raise our head on top, like to the watching to the ceiling. So is this type of construction is okay? Is as per the Sunnah or something like that?
Okay. Any more questions?
No, that's all I want to ask.
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah. Brother Muhammad's observation is quite correct. The Prophet's ﷺ mimbar or pulpit had 3 steps. So it was probably lower than this, almost this high. However, when you enter our masjids, you find it to be like some masjids 3 meters, 2.5 meters high. And like the imam has to be an athlete to go all the way up, and he has to not fear heights when he looks down. So he's saying, is this Islamic? It is not in accordance to the Sunnah, but it is not haram at the same time, because the Prophet ﷺ did not set a limit to the height. And the purpose of these 3 steps is that the Prophet ﷺ would be elevated so that the people would see him, he would be visible to them, and at the same time his voice would have an extended outreach than if he were on the floor. And to be fair, the masjids nowadays are far wider, bigger than at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and hence the people from like 30 or 40 or maybe 100 meters away may need to see the imam, and if he is this low, they may not be able to notice him. And inshallah, as long as you do not go into extravagance and exaggerate in the height and in the building itself, because some people pay a lot of money for this pulpit, for this mimbar, and they ensure that it's carved and that it's made of wood made in Morocco or elsewhere, and it costs thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of riyals. This is too much, and one must not do this. Jeddah from the US.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
Okay, I have two questions. My first question is, like Quran, like the sujood during Quran recitation in Salah, like in third Salah, are we obliged to do that?
So recitation, prostration in prayer.
Yes, like if I recite Surah Al-Alaq
Okay.
during Fajr prayer, do I have to do sujood?
Okay, second
before
question.
I do ruku? So yeah. My second question is, can you combine Asr with Zuhur during Zuhur time?
When traveling or just normally?
Not normally, but when it's not traveling, but it's in a tight situation.
Okay. Any more questions?
How about if I can I fast like once a week, like Monday? Is it okay to fast once a week, like Nafila?
So you want to fast once a week like a Monday?
Yeah, like Monday. Is it
Okay.
okay to fast once a week? Oh, it's okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I will answer you, inshallah. Jeddah from USA says that if I recite during Salat an ayah with prostration of recitation, like for example at the end of Surah Al-Alaq, at the end of Surah Al-Najm, in the middle of Surah Al-Inshiqaq, etc. So is it mandatory for me to prostrate? The answer is no. It is highly recommended, but it is not at all mandatory. And if you skip it, you've skipped a sunnah, and it does not affect the validity of your prayer. She says, can I combine Asr at the time of Dhuhr? There has to be a legitimate reason. Without a legitimate reason, this is not permissible. She says, yeah, I'm shopping. I'm in the supermarket, and it's taking me too long, and I don't think I'm going to make it back home. Well, you don't have to go back home. You can pray in any door, corridor, or a room, or any place. Even in front of the people in public, just pray your prayer on time without combining. But if you tell me that I'm to undergo a surgery, and the surgery, I think I'll wake up, if I'm a patient, after Maghrib. So I won't be able to pray Dhuhr, Asr on time. Or if you are the surgeon itself, and you cannot leave the patient open, say, stay tuned, I'm going to pray Asr and come back. In this case, yes, you can combine Asr at Dhuhr time, or delay Dhuhr to pray it at Asr time. Either way, or when you're traveling. But without a legitimate reason, no, this is not permissible. And finally, can she fast one day of the week? The answer is yes, providing you do not isolate Friday alone, or you isolate Saturday alone. If you want to isolate Sunday alone, no problem. Monday, this is Sunnah. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is a Sunnah. There's no problem at all doing that. And Maryam says that it's difficult to find a job that has no free mixing. She's a girl. Her father allows her to work. She wears a proper hijab. The environment is safe, and the job is halal. But she has to free mix. Is this permissible? The answer is no. When you free mix with colleagues, even if you're wearing hijab, Shaitan is not interested in luring you or pulling your legs now, next week, next month. He's willing to wait for 5-6 months until you're acquainted with the colleagues and those you free mix with, and then he draws his guns. So definitely such an occupation is not permissible. Saif says he is committed, addicted to a sin, whether watching porn or masturbating. And he says, is there any dua? Akhi, dua is always there. But the problem is that you have to take the first step. So it's not sufficient that you sit home and raise your hands and make dua for 100 hours. Oh Allah, provide me with rizq and provide me with food. And you expect, like Maryam, the mother of Jesus, that food will be there for you. No, this is a miracle. And it's not for you. You have to work. You want to stay away from that particular addiction? Then cut the means for such addiction. Your friends, your environment, the means of watching such haram things. And inshallah, with the dua, Allah would help you. And finally, Muhammad says, if I sit cross-legged and close my eyes and try to calm and achieve mindfulness, what is this? And meditate, will this be haram? And will I be imitating the kuffar? Definitely, akhi. This is not something logical. Sitting cross-legged, closing your eyes and just doing nothing, not thinking of Allah's greatness, of Allah's creation, of Quran, of just sitting. This is like yoga. Yoga is haram. They face the sun and they worship the sun. They kneel for the sun. They say things that says this. And it's all based on worshiping the sun. So meditation in Islam, we don't have any such nonsense. You are questioned for your time. And if you sit idle, just trying to calm yourself down, fall asleep. It's even more blessed than imitating the kuffar in such a fashion. And Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. And with this, we come to the conclusion of tonight's episode of Ask Huda. Until we meet next time, I leave you fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
As for Allah, nothing but Allah. Ba is the beginning of Bismillah.